I'll turn to the clerk. Is there a supplementary agenda this evening?
Council, you are aware that there was a supplementary agenda sent out on Friday with regards to a presentation for a refugee update. Since then, an email has been received and administration is asking that that be removed from tonight's agenda and returned as soon as possible once we get the final approvals from the federal government. Also, just to note that there is no planning applications for this evening, although it's a combined meeting.
Next item on the agenda deals with pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, or general nature thereof, the items before council tonight. There was just one that I have is dealing with the closed session item of under number 4, which is the last bullet point. I've declared a conflict of interest. Councillor McGregor. (17A).
Sorry, through the mayor, I have a declare conflict on item 17A.
17A?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Seeing no further. Our next item on the agenda deals with deputations as of 3 o'clock, and I'll turn to the clerk.
Thank you. Council, we have 11 deputations this evening. The first 10 are on the same item, 14A, the motion of Mayor Hope regarding the renaming of the Dresden Arena. So I will start by with the first person and calling on who's on deck. I'll remind all of the speakers that you have a maximum of 5 minutes. So the first speaker is David Cameron from Dresden's Minor Sports, and on deck is Mike DePaw from the president of the Dresden Kinsmen.
Welcome, David.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, councilmen, council ladies. Tonight, I'm here to speak about the mayor put on the floor, I believe, a month ago about the changing of the name of the Dresden Arena. So we're here to talk about that this evening. We brought some friends and family and some people from situations with whatever is going on with the Dresden Arena as far as the original name. The original name, the Chatham-Kent Memorial Agricultural Society is our center. 1954, the original arena was built in Dresden, and memorial was stood for the Legion, because the Legion donated money towards the building of the original arena, and the Agricultural Society donated the land for the original arena, and which the present day arena stands on. 1982, 83, in that vicinity is when the new arena was built, and when the new arena was built, the previous name from the old arena just transferred with the new arena. And it's Chatham-Kent was in there as well from back in the 50s when the first one changed and transferred to the new arena. And so when the process was going, Lambton County, Kent County was still viable. And since then, as we all know, Chatham-Kent has taken over the Kent County as far as with amalgamation. So our community and our board that has sat down to think about this new name change thought we'd get rid of the Lambton-Kent name tag and just go with the Ken Houston Memorial Agricultural Center. So tonight I bring other folk from Dresden with me, and for a minute I'd like to talk about Ken Houston myself before the other people come up and talk, whether it be members of the Legion Agricultural Committee or whatever we have here. Ken was a hero in Dresden, Chatham, Kent County, played minor hockey in Dresden, played junior hockey in Dresden and Chatham. before moving on. When his NHL career was over, he returned home to his roots and stayed here till his passing in March. Back when Ken played in the 70s, the only way of knowing what happened with Ken and his team the night before, myself waiting for the get on the bus in the morning, you'd turn on CFCO and listen to see if the Atlanta Flames won, if Ken scored any goals, assisted, got in a fight, whatever. And it's not like today where you can follow any player up to the minute. You can see what's going on in his game. And so he was everybody's hero from Dresden and Kent County. And like I said, when he returned, great family man, great community man, did whatever was asked of him from the community. And I think it's just a great thing for us to do is in renaming the Dresden Arena on his behalf. I think probably the only thing that maybe we should have done is done it while he was still alive. And I know he wouldn't have wanted that. And that's the kind of guy he was, didn't like to be in the limelight. But I'll leave you with one of the things before I turn over to the rest of the people here is one of his ex-teammates passed on, when he passed on that he got a lot of emails and messages from ex-players, coaches, and people in the hockey world. And former teammate Jim Pepelinski, his message was, we lost a good friend, and to him, he was our John Wayne. And I don't think anybody could pass on a better tag on you saying that you're like John Wayne. But anyway, I hope you see that this is something we need for our community of Chatham-Kent, and I'll thank you very much for listening to me, and I'll pass it on to the next person. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Mike DePaw, for the president of the Dresden Kinsmen. On deck is Lucille Laprise, president of the Agricultural Society.
Welcome, Mike.
Thank you. Good evening. As you mentioned, I'm Mike DePaw, Vice President of Dresden Kinsmen Club. Thank you to Mayor Randy Hope and the Chatham-Kent Council members for allowing us to speak today. I speak on behalf of our membership, some of who were able to join us today, to endorse the inclusion of Ken Houston in the renaming of the arena in Dresden. We are a service club whose members are active in the rural community of Dresden. We know nearly everybody in the community, and many of us grew up watching Ken excel in the NHL. He represents Dresden, a hard worker who is genuine and compassionate. He was and is our hometown hero and idol, and we wish to honor him. We may have lost Ken, but we wish his legacy in the community to last forever. We want visitors to Dresden to see Ken Houston when they come to our arena, and we want them to ask the locals about him, and we want them to Google his name. We want them to learn who he was and what he meant to Dresden. On behalf of the Kinsmen Club of Dresden, we thank you for your time and your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Lucille Laprise, president of the Agricultural Society. On deck is Brian McCabe, president of the Dresden Legion.
Welcome, Lucille.
Mayor Randy, distinguished councilors. On behalf of the Dresden Agricultural Society, we support the motion to respectively rename the Lambton-Kent Memorial Agricultural Center to the Ken Houston Memorial Agricultural Center. Ken was a local boy who went on to do great things. He made our community proud with his many accomplishments. Ken always remembered his Dresden roots, and his continued support of many local events and businesses was always greatly appreciated. Please consider favorably this important motion honoring our Ken Houston and the Dresden community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian McCabe, president, Dresden Legion. On deck is Lynn Ellis.
Welcome, Brian.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you, Mayor Randy and councilors. I'm Brian McCabe. I'm the immediate past president of Branch 113 Dresden. At our last Legion meeting, the members of Branch 113 unanimously supported the plan to change the name of our arena. As a supporter of hockey in Dresden for many years, we feel this is a very positive change and a great way to honor one of our town's best ambassadors, Ken Houston. When the Dresden Sports Hall of Fame held their inaugural banquet and induction ceremony in 1979, Ken was the obvious choice as the first male athlete to be inducted. During his playing career and after his playing career, Ken never forgot where he was from. This is a great opportunity to show how much he means to our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Lynn Ellis, Dresden Minor Hockey Moms. On deck is Ian Avery. Okay, we're going to go straight to Ian. And on deck will be Don Vitek.
Welcome, Ian.
Thank you. My name's Ian Avery, and I'm president of Dresden Minor Hockey. And on behalf of our executive and directors at our August meeting, we unanimously agreed that the arena should be renamed the Ken Houston Memorial Agricultural Center. And what a better way for our kids as soon as they come into the arena is to look up at a picture of Ken and see, the possibilities of playing hockey in a small town center and all the good things that he brought to our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next is Don Vitek. On deck is Gary Patterson and Dave DePensier.
Welcome, Don.
Mr. Mayor and Council, I'm honored at the same time humbled to speak about a dear friend of more than 45 years. He just wasn't my friend, but he was a friend, as you can see, to everybody that's here tonight, and many more that we'll never know of. Ken was always a gentleman, meeting people, both young and old, and treated them with the greatest respect. A good listener, he would never rush or end a conversation first knowing that person's name or giving that warm Ken smile. Ken was more than just a player. He was a son, a husband, father, and a doting grandparent who planted his roots here in the community, involving himself with many charities. Unfortunately, after time, names on plaques and monuments tend to go forgotten. After a while, people question, who was that person? I can assure you this would not be the case here. There's too much pride in Dresden, in the area, and parents can't help to tell the story to their children, grandchildren, and pass down about the name of Ken Houston on the building. If council approves Ken's name on the arena, it would identify more than a person who had just had a successful career in the NHL, but a person who was a good man, a giant in our small Dresden community. Thank you.
Next is Gary Patterson and Dave DePensier. On deck is Susan Houston.
Welcome, Gary and Dave.
Thank you, Mayor Hope, and as well as councilors, thank you for having us here tonight. My name is Dave DePensier, and myself and my family are residents of Dresden. I'm here tonight, like everyone else, to discuss Ken Houston and the request to change the name of the Lambton-Kent Memorial Agricultural Center. I met Ken quite a few years ago, playing this thing we like to call Duke Hockey. That became a place where we would meet, and it happens to be the hometown arena in Dresden. And we'd meet every Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. sharp. We'd be on the ice, and it didn't matter the conditions outside. It didn't matter how late he was up the night before, or if it was snowing or raining. It didn't matter. He was there. He'd pull into the side of the arena, park his vehicle where he always parked it. He'd come to the side door where he would enter, because it was always left open for him, because the arena staff or whoever was working that Sunday would always make sure to leave it open a crack for him so that he could enter the arena. And he'd make his way down the hallway, and he'd come to dressing room number 2, and he'd sit in his spot in the right corner, and no one ever sat in that spot because that was Ken's spot. And, it's amazing to me how the age of people, how old you are, it didn't matter. The anticipation of him entering the room and seeing him, it never went away. He had this way with people when he entered a room, and it was incredible. And yeah, he was an NHL superstar, but he wasn't only just that. He was an amazing person. He was an amazing friend, and he was an amazing family man, as well as a husband. So, I felt in his own way that he really inspired people. And I think to this day, I don't think he really knew how much he inspired people. The day of his funeral, I spoke to a man by the name of Jeff Jackson. I'm sure you all know him. If you don't know him, he's a Dresden boy, grew up, made the NHL, had a successful career, went on. He's a partner in the Bobby Orr Group, which is an agency that represents many superstars like Connor McDavid, for example. And he said to me, Dave, Ken had no idea how much he inspired me. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, you know, he was from Dresden, a small town. And I was, you know, growing up playing hockey, and I saw him work hard and be humble but confident. And he goes, that inspired me to know that, hey, if this guy can make it to the NHL from a small little town in the middle of nowhere called Dresden, then I can do it too. And I looked at that and listened to it, and I was like, wow, you know, this guy's pretty successful. And here he is giving thanks to Ken. But the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, well, that totally makes sense to me because of how he was as a person. You know, and I spoke to Jeff yesterday, and in his own words, he said naming the arena after Ken is very, very appropriate, given the impact he had on the town of Dresden, as well as the surrounding community. And as I think about all of this, the same word keeps coming back to me, inspiration, right? And I think about how Ken has inspired so many people. I mean, every time, and I heard it tonight, kids walk into the arena and they see him standing there with his jersey on, that picture. It's cemented in your head, and it inspires kids every day to walk in that arena and say, hey, wow, I can make an NHL team. And, you know, like Mike said, Google, it will happen. And all of his friends that are here tonight, in some way, shape, or form, he's inspired us all. His family that sits behind me, I can guarantee every time I see them, by the look on their faces, they've been inspired by Ken. I mean, his wife is here tonight trying to put his name on the arena where he came from. Like, that, to me, shows inspiration. And she's been inspired to do that for him. So the Ken Houston Memorial Agricultural Center. For me, this shouldn't be about, can we change it? Should we change it? Can we request to change it? No. I think for me, it should be a celebration of a local Dresden man, a retired NHL player, and put his name back on his home where it all began, and allow him to continue to inspire people and allow his legacy to live on. Thank you.
Thank you. When do we set the clock?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. My name is Gary Patterson. I'm here to speak in favor of changing the name of the Chatham-Kent Memorial Agricultural Center to the Ken Houston Memorial Agricultural Center. First of all, I'd like to say a big thanks to Dave Cameron for spearheading this crusade to immortalize Ken Houston. This cowboy hat is one of Doc's hats from Calgary. He always believed that good guys wore white. And believe me, he was one of the good guys. I, like many others here, friend of Ken's for many years, here to talk about how he brought recognition to the town of Dresden. So he was drafted from Tier 2 Junior A team here in Chatham, the Chatham Maroons to the Atlanta Flames, Southwestern Ontario Junior Hockey League. Now, David Poyle is the general manager and president of hockey operations for the Atlanta Thrashers. I texted David Poyle last night at 6:46 p.m. Said, Dave, can you please give me a call? It's about Ken Houston. At 6:47 p.m., my phone was ringing. David Poyle, Gary, what's up? How can I help? I said, tell me how Ken Houston brought recognition to the town of Dresden. He said, well, when you make the NHL from a smaller community, start your career off by scoring in your first game, then knocking off the reigning heavyweight champion Dave Schultz, then continue with 6 20-goal seasons in the NHL, yeah, you bring recognition to your community. After that first game, I'm sure many people knew the town of Dresden. Eric Vale, who was the NHL's Rookie of the Year in 1973, and one of Ken Houston's best friends and teammates, said that Ken was so proud of Dresden, his hometown. He said Ken would talk about his friends back home in Dresden, would talk about the racetrack, would talk about the Legion, would talk about the town. When we came to visit, it didn't take long to see why he loved his hometown of Dresden. He talked about his family. We loved to meet his family and hang out with his family. Throughout his career until the day he died, Ken Houston loved Dresden, had nothing but great things to say about his hometown, and brought recognition to Dresden. I contacted several others who played with Ken. It's all the same. Doc loved Dresden, and they loved the stories he told about the town, where he grew up. And half the stories they couldn't believe were true, but they did. They loved the nicknames. They say his NHL career brought great recognition to his hometown. There are several former NHLers all over Canada and the United States waiting for an email or phone call tonight telling them that tonight's vote went well, and there are more people in Chatham-Kent who have voiced their support for the arena name change. Thank you for allowing me just to scratch the surface of how important Ken Houston was to the town of Dresden. I trust that you will all see the community of Dresden has seen in Ken Houston. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Susan Houston. On deck is Andrea Timmers and Braden Houston.
Welcome, Susan.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak this evening. Ken and I had many wonderful years together traveling with the alumni. Ken introduced me to a world I have never known and came to love immensely. We enjoyed all of the charity games, meeting new people and helping to raise money for their cause. Ken never forgot a name. He took time to speak with people, making them feel special. He always had a great big handshake and a great big smile to go with it. He also took time to talk to people, especially the kids, complimenting them on a good game and how well they were doing, and they would have beaming smiles. Ken also gave his time to many different charities and fundraising events, no matter how big or small. Each one was very important to him, and it was important to the individuals. It would be a great honor to myself and my family with the Dresden Arena being named in his honor, the Ken Houston Memorial Agricultural Center. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Andrea Timmers and Braden Houston. On deck is Ruth Draper.
Good evening. Thank
Good evening.
you. I'm Andrea, one of Ken's daughters, and this is Braden. Braden is Ken's oldest grandchild. Words cannot even begin to express how grateful we are for all the love and support we have received over these last 6 months. My family and I were flooded with emotions when the notion of possibly changing the name of the arena was presented to us. We all thought it would be an amazing tribute to an amazing man. As the time has passed, I still struggle to put into words what this truly means to me. It would be an incredible honor, to say the least, for myself, my grandparents, siblings, and our families to have the arena name changed to honor my father, Ken Houston. My dad has never forgot and was proud of where he came from. He believed in giving back to the community, and from hearing what everyone had to say, it was obvious he did a great job. Like I said earlier, this is Braden. Tonight is a special evening for Braden, and he wanted his voice and opinion to be heard, but he didn't think he'd be able to get up and speak in front of everyone. So Braden and I spoke, and he decided to write down what he wanted to say, and I said I would read it for him. So this is what Braden had come up with. Several years ago, when I told my grandpa that I wanted to play hockey, he strongly suggested that I play in Dresden. My mom was okay with this, so my grandpa signed me up. Even though I live in Chatham, I've been playing in Dresden ever since. My grandpa was very involved in all aspects of my life, but he really enjoyed helping me with hockey. Every year, he'd take me out to get my equipment, he'd sign me up for power skating, and drive me to almost all of my practices. Even in terrible weather, he would pick me up and take me. Grandpa hardly ever missed my games. Sometimes I'd see him sitting alone in the stands, and later he would joke that he was sitting with all of his friends. My grandpa helped out on the ice and always had time to talk with my teammates. My grandpa was my biggest fan and a proud supporter of Dresden and minor hockey. I am proud to play in the same arena as my grandfather, and it would be an incredible honor to play in an arena that is named after him. Thank you very much.
Andrea. Andrea, if you wouldn't mind, please, could you come back for a sec? I'm going to take a liberty because the next presenter is on a different issue. Andrea, I wish you would take a moment to introduce Ken's dad.
Oh, sure. This is Lyle.
And the grandparents.
This is Lyle and Marilyn, my dad's parents.
If you wouldn't mind, please standing so everybody can recognize who you are. I affected the clerk the wrong way, okay?
Sorry. Okay, the last speaker for deputations is Ruth Draper, and it is on item 17C, motion by Councillor Bondi regarding the senior bus pass extension. Ruth? Ruth Draper here?
Thank you, Your Worship and members of council. I can't believe that it's nearly 8 years ago when I stood here to try and get a senior bus pass. Now we're still trying to get it renewed now because it ends this year. And I don't know why it isn't being kept as a permanent thing at all times, but of course it's also budget. Now the only thing is, this year, I said to myself, oh, maybe I'm getting too old, I won't be using the bus as much. But I find that I am, because I do quite a bit of volunteering, but I thought, oh, I'll go with the cash pass. It will be much cheaper, maybe, and I'll be better off. But I just find that it's the inconvenience of it, not so much financially, it's the inconvenience of having to come down to here to get it renewed in all kinds of weather. Plus we have to be looking after the transfers with a cash pass and with mitts on in the winter and whatever, shopping, whatever. And I find that's very hard to do for older people. And there's also a lot of people that have got walkers that use the buses. Now, a lot of times I've heard it say, oh, well, all our seniors are rich. We've got all kinds of money. Not all of us. And those that have, they already have cars, or if they don't drive, they have a car that maybe their family can take them just anywhere they want to go for anything. So I just feel it's time that we did have this bus pass renewed at kind of the same price it is now. I tried to renew it after 5.5 years. I came and renewed it, and I would always ask, oh, has it gone up? Oh, no, no, no. Well, it should have done a little bit each year, so it wasn't noticed. And then we had a new transport minister come on the scene, and he's raising it, which was very, very cheap, at $70 a year. And he's raising it right there and then to an amount of 600. So I was here again trying to talk him out of that. So now that was raised, put up, the price was put up for double at 140 for 2 years. And then this year, 210 for this last year, Now, is it going to keep going up? $70 each time it does increase. And then to let everybody know that the CPP is fine, anybody that's worked long enough. But the old age pension, you're lucky to get a $2 raise twice a year and maybe only once. So I just feel that it would be nice to have this bus pass renewed forever. And some cities, I know they're a lot larger, and if they're 85 and over, they get a free bus pass. People are saying, oh, well, you know, who's going to get on the bus at 85? Some people do, but there's very few that maybe can. And I don't think that would be too bad on the budget at some time down the road to say, if they're 85 and over, maybe it's a good way, because there's not going to be hundreds using it at 85 and over. Anyway, I just want to let you know that it was my birthday yesterday. I didn't get a present, so I'm relying on all you guys to give me a bus pass. Thank you very much.
Councillor Foss, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Seems we have such a large delegation here, and all of them that spoke did an admirable job in presenting their case today. I'd like to move that 14A be moved up now so that these good people can go back home after the motion's passed.
Okay. So moved by Councillor Solomon. Or seconded by Councillor Solomon.
Yep.
All those in favor? Opposed, if any, and it's carried. Councillor Thompson, will you please take the chair?
Yeah, really, eh? Yep, I recognize the mayor to read his notice of motion.
Whereas the late Ken Houston provided inspiration to local youngsters and was a source of pride for all the community residents throughout his National Hockey League career. And whereas Mr. Houston made Chatham-Kent his long life home and gave unselfishly of his time and efforts to a long list of local charities and community events. And whereas I was approached by a large number of Dresden and area residents during the recent Dresden exhibition to seeking the permanent and public acknowledgement of the legacy of Mr. Houston, therefore be it resolved that therefore be it resolved that the arena in Dresden be renamed to the Ken Houston Lambton-Kent Memorial Agricultural Center. My understanding is that Councillor Foss will make an amendment to this.
Do we need a seconder?
I'll second it.
All
But
right.
I'd like to make an amendment.
And your amendment?
Is that we drop off Lambton-Kent and just have the Ken Houston Memorial Agricultural Center.
And the seconder for that? Councillor Leclerc?
Thank you. Mr. Chair, if I may, with just some remarks. First of all those that made presentations today, thank you very much. To Gary Patterson, I want to thank you very much for the work that you did and the communication I had with you. And thank you for letting me know about the name change that the group, the citizens, have decided they wanted this name. And that's why the amendment has come forward today, because they were the ones that said they wanted Lambton-Kent dropped off and named after this. To the council tonight, I want to say this is a great opportunity for us. As you all know, Rogers Hometown Hockey will be in this community on December 15th and the 16th. I think it's the most appropriate time that we do the unveiling of the name, if passed tonight, that the unveiling of the Ken Houston Memorial Agricultural Center be done on December 15th during Hometown Hockey's Saturday advertisement, and on Sunday we'll have the Hometown Hockey event being held here. But I think in order to pay proper respect, if it's approved tonight, that I would try to push for the issue of December 15th to be the actually unveiling date of the Ken Houston Memorial Agricultural Center, so that it can be televised nationally, that we are recognizing such a hero in our community. And what better advertisement could we get for a person that I believe deserves it during that period of time during Rogers Hometown Hockey. That's all the comments that I have.
All right, just for a little bit of housekeeping, I want to make sure the amendment was friendly.
Yes.
Excellent. Councillor Solomon was first up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't think anyone can put it any better than the family members, Andrea and Susan, and all the friends who got up and spoke. So I'd simply like to make the motion that we put the question and vote on it right away.
A seconder to that? Councillor McGregor? Seeing no further questions.
It's okay.
You asked the chair, or asked the clerk the results.
If the clerk could post the results.
All votes are in. Motion passes 17-0.
To the I just want to verify, because I did make a statement. Is the community acceptable to trying to do something December 15th for the unveiling? Yes. Thank you very much. All right, we'll move on to our just waiting a second. We'll now move to the consent agenda. Councilor Robertson, please.
I'm pleased to move the consent agenda.
It's been moved by Councilor Robertson, seconded by Councilor Myers. Any items of interest by council? And seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, if any, and it's carried. Next item on the agenda deals with notice of motions. Councilor Thompson, please.
I, Councilor Trevor Thompson, hereby provide notice that I will bring forward the following motion at the October 1st, 2018 council meeting for discussion and voting. Whereas road safety is a concern for all residents across the municipality, and whereas a number of rural intersections across the municipality are currently being lit by streetlights that are paid for by individual residents on a historical and in perpetual basis, and whereas that responsibility shouldn't fall to private citizens to maintain and pay for, be it resolved that administration draft a report outlining the current number, locations of these historical streetlights and costs associated with transferring those privately funded streetlights at public intersections from residents to the municipality.
Further notice of motions. Councilor Oche, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I, Councilor Mark Oche, hereby provide notice that I'll bring forward the following motion at the October 1st, 2018 council meeting for discussion and voting. I'd ask that management investigate ways of cutting costs of renting our facilities for amateur theater companies such as Chatham-Kent and others. I'd like to have a report back for December 11th, 2018. Thank you.
Thank you. Further notice of motions. Councilor Carmen McGregor, please.
Thank you. I, Councillor Carmen McGregor, hereby provide notice that I will bring forward the following motion at the October 1st, 2018 council meeting for discussion and voting. Whereas the Chatham-Kent procedural bylaw allows for council, committees, and local boards to temporarily suspend or waive rules for the purpose of a particular meeting or issue by a 2/3 vote of the whole number of members present when amending Section 2C. The order of business, open or closed session, adding or removing deputations, amending the rules for debate, adding or decreasing time for debate, introducing a motion without standard notice, Section 9.11A, to reconsider a motion previously decided by council, Section 9.16C and F, and to amend the procedural bylaw, Section 15. As whereas all notice of all new motions shall be given in writing during the regular meeting and shall include the name of the mover, and advise that the motion described therein be added to the next regular meeting agenda unless otherwise specified. And whereas the notice of motion shall not be debated until the next regular meeting in order for council, committee, or local board to be transparent by allowing the opportunity for the public to speak for or against a proposed motion. Therefore, be it resolved that council amend the procedural bylaw to change all motions requiring a 2/3 vote to a vote of 100% of members in attendance -1, and that the procedural bylaw be amended immediately to take this effect.
Further notice of motions. Councilor Carmen McGregor, please.
Thank you. I, Councillor Carmen McGregor, hereby provide notice that I will bring forward the following motion at the October 1st, 2018 council meeting for discussion and voting. Whereas the vision of Chatham-Kent is to be welcoming, healthy, prosperous community that is culturally rich and naturally innovative. Whereas our goal is that Chatham-Kent is recognized as the best place to live in Ontario and a destination of choice to experience arts and culture. Whereas there are a great number of volunteers in each community of Chatham-Kent that make our vision a possibility. Whereas Chatham-Kent Concert Band has received $16,000 to provide financing for the current 2018 concert season, and whereas the Chatham-Kent Concert Band will also be considered for continual financing during the 2019 budget process. I hereby ask that administration provide a report to council before the start of the next budget process that includes details on all of the concert bands within Chatham-Kent. The report should include financial details, where publicly available, the size of the band, whether or not they have sought grant or other funding from the municipality, and whether or not they were successful. I would also ask that all of the concert bands within Chatham-Kent be considered equally during the next budget process.
Further notice of motions? Then seeing none. Next item on the agenda deals with tender awards. Let's deal with the first item.
Item 12A, tender award T18-270, Queso Trail Construction, Phase 1.
Councillor Vakudaran, please. It's been moved by Councillor Vakudaran, seconded by Councillor Brock McGregor. Comments or questions? Councillor Van Dam, please.
Thank you, Mayor Hope. To you, through you to Mr. Bray, I have three questions. The first question I want a clarification on was all the money that goes towards this project is strictly dividend income from Integris, correct?
Through you, Your Worship, that is correct.
Okay, and once this trail gets built, what's Elgin County's responsibility to continue it westward or eastward?
There is no responsibility, but we have been in contact with them and they have expressed an interest to continue it.
Okay. And what are the plans or the timeline for it to go west once it's built?
That's the next phase would head west. I've already reviewed it with Integris, so that would be rolling out next year.
Next year, okay. Thank you.
Further comments or questions? And seeing none, I would ask council now to consider the recommendation now before you. I'll turn to the clerk.
Councillor Oche? All votes are in. Motion passes 16-1.
Next item.
Item 12B, tender award window replacement at 200 West Court Boulevard, Wallaceburg.
Councillor Foss, please.
Also move.
It's been seconded by Councillor Carmen McGregor. Comments or questions? Councillor Van Dam.
Through you, Mayor Hope, my question revolves around the Save on Energy grants. Just wondering if there was the opportunity to apply to this provincially funded grant opportunity, because I believe heritage renovations was part of that as well. I just wondered if you had any knowledge of that.
Mayor, members of council, we have explored some of the options for both grants and rebates. Unfortunately, the majority of the programs have either been canceled or have ended in regards to windows specifically. In regards to the program you're talking about, the Green On, it is one of the programs that we are currently still exploring. We're trying to see if there's still opportunity for it. However, the last report I received was that the program is going to be canceled as of June of this year. So I'm still talking with the representative, but we haven't come full term with that yet.
Thank you very much.
Further comments or questions? Then seeing none, I would ask council now to consider the recommendation before you. I'll turn to the clerk.
All votes are in. Motion passes 17-0.
Let's deal with the next item.
Item 12C, sole source Hearst hydraulic cutters and spreaders.
Councillor Pincinel, please.
Thank you, Worship. I'll move the recommendation.
Seconded by Councillor Vakudaran. Comments or questions? Councillor Van Dam, please.
Thank you, Mayor Hope. My I read in the report that this was started through an anonymous donation, and I was just wondering if you could explain how that happens. I mean, it's a great news story, but how would a person know anonymously that we were in need of this type of equipment?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Two of our station chiefs were approached by a benefactor asking if there was any way that they could support the work of the station. And based upon the fact that we were already providing some hydraulic equipment, it was decided between fire administration, the benefactor and the stations that this would be the best way that they could serve their local communities.
Okay. Very good.
Further comments? And seeing none, I would ask council now to consider the recommendation before you. I'll turn to the clerk.
All votes are in. Motion passes 16-0.
Our next item on the agenda deals with Chatham-Kent Police Services. First item.
Item 13A, repeal of security alarm bylaw 2005-01.
Councilor Fluker, please.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Very pleased to move this motion.
Seconded by Councilor Myers. Any comments or questions from council? And seeing none, I would ask council now to consider the recommendation before you. I'll turn to the clerk.
All votes are in. Motion passes 16-0.
Item 15, Finance, Budget, and Information Technology Services. Let's deal with the first item.
Item 15A, council update for 2018 Pinty's Grand Slam of Curling, Princess Auto Elite 10 event. Your Worship, we have a short presentation by Mr. Turner.
Mr. Turner, please.
Thanks, Mayor Hope and Council. Just wanted to give everybody a little bit of a brief update. The event is getting very close, much like the IPM, which is starting next week. The week after that, on the Wednesday, September 26th, is the Pinty's Grand Slam of Curling Elite 10 event. As you can see up on the screen, we have the top 10 men's and top 10 women's teams in the world are coming to Chatham-Kent. They're going to be at the St. Clair Campus Arena from the 26th to the 30th. I just have a couple of little things that I wanted to do. First off, I wanted to thank Fred Rose and his committee for certainly being the community group that's organizing a good portion of it. And I certainly want to thank a lot of the members of our administration here. Jeff Bray and his team have been a tremendous help, and certainly a lot of members on my team have been a big help as well, and people all across the organization. So it's really coming together. It's going to be a terrific event. Certainly we're going to have about 27 hours of coverage on Sportsnet, you know, kind of showcasing the municipality in the arena and the event itself. So we're all really looking forward to that. I just have a couple of really quick videos. So the first video is an event, is a video that's being shown on Sportsnet right now that's promoting the event. And the second video is the video that is promoting Chatham-Kent itself that we've put together that's actually going to form part of the broadcast. It's taking a second to load.
I think they have a commercial about this, about improving your internet service.
That's why we're always trying to promote the connectivity across Chatham-Kent. Meredith can attest to the fact that this did work this afternoon when we tried it. Well, it's really good. Here we go. So you probably have heard about the different teams that have been announced here. So here's just a listing of the teams that are coming on the 26th. So you can see, if you follow curling at all, there's a lot of really big names there. A lot of world champions, reigning world champions, gold medalists, silver medalists, you know, multi-time medalists all across the organization. A lot of the Grand Slam of curling winners, defending Grand Slam of curling champions. So, you know, certainly Nicholas Eden, Brad Gushu, Glenn Howard, Brad Jacobs, Kevin Cooey, they're all really big names in the curling world. So we're excited to have all of them coming to showcase their talents. And certainly on the women's side, there's a lot of big names on the women's side as well. So certainly Anna Hasselberg is the 2018 Olympic gold medalist. Rachel Homan, Jennifer Jones, two of the biggest names in women's curling, and many other of the top female curling teams. So we're really excited to have them showcasing it here in Chatham-Kent. Looking forward to the event starting up on the 26th. Certainly there's going to be a lot of fun events going on at the same time. The Pinty's Pub is a big part of the event, where they're going to have some musical acts that are local musical acts. They're going to be doing local winery and a local brewery, Sons of Kent, are going to be there. Chilled Cork is running the food operations. So we're really looking forward to the event. And for the tickets, I'm not just saying this, full ticket packages are going fast. There's probably only about 70 full ticket packages left. We've just put on weekend passes available. That kind of highlights where they actually are available. And single ticket draw tickets just went on sale today. And we sold a significant number of tickets today. So if you are interested in tickets, you should look soon, because we're anticipating that we might sell out before the event even starts. So great news, but if you're interested in getting tickets, please go onto the website. You can also go on the Chatham Granite Club's website, or you can go onto our municipal website under tourism to get the links. So that's all I wanted to say for now, and thanks, and hopefully you guys are all coming to the curling event.
Councillor Carmen McGregor, please.
Thank you, and through the mayor. Thanks for the presentation. I was been waiting to see what teams were coming, so I am one of those, one of the few that, few sports I really do enjoy watching is curling, and have had the opportunity to go some games, so really going to enjoy having them here in Chatham. But what a big year for us between the, you know, the IPM, now this, and then the hockey night. Like, what a year for Chatham-Kent. It's really great work that your team and everybody's done. Thanks.
Further comments? And seeing none, I just need a motion to receive for information. Moved by Councillor Pincinel, second by Councillor Clare. All those in favor? Opposed to any, and it's carried. Our next item on the agenda, please.
Item 15B, June 2018 Budget Variance Forecast.
Councillor Myers, please.
I'd move the recommendation.
It's been moved by Councillor Myers, seconded by Councillor Brock McGregor. Any comments or questions from council? And seeing none, I would ask council now to consider the recommendation now before you. I'll turn to the clerk.
All votes are in. Motion passes 17-0.
Our next item on the agenda deals with community development. Let's deal with the first item.
Item 16A, one-year extension of interim control bylaw number 164-2017 for Erie Shore Drive properties, and update on the adapting to the future storm and ice regimes in the Great Lakes, Chatham-Kent Erie Shoreline Study.
Councillor Herman, please.
So moved, Mayor Hope.
It's been moved by Councillor Herman, seconded by Councillor Oche. Any comments or questions from council? And seeing none, I would ask council now to consider the recommendation before you. And I will turn to the clerk.
All votes are in. Motion passes 16-1.
Next item on the agenda, please.
Item 16B, applications for site plan control, PL 2018-00104, Green Hill Produce, Thamesville.
Councillor Pinsino, please.
Thank you, Worship. I'll move the recommendations as presented.
It's been moved by Councillor Pinsino, seconded by Councillor Verkutteren. Any comments or questions from council? And seeing none, I would ask council now to consider the recommendation before you. To the clerk.
Councillor Bondi? Councillor Bondi? Sorry. All votes are in. Motion passes 17-0.
Let's deal with the next
Item 16C, motion by Councillor C. McGregor regarding property standards, repeat offenders.
Thank you, and through the mayor, I make the motion that administration be directed to prepare a report outlining the number and frequency of repeat property standard offenders. The report should provide information on how repeat offenders are being managed presently and any recommendations on how to manage repeat offenders in the future. I would ask that this report come back to council in early 2019. Thank you. I'm not going to really talk on it a lot because I think it says enough what it says there, and I think it's something that we all manage with our career, and I know there's a lot of repeat offenders, and it worries me that some people actually are starting to use our service as a annual spring cleanup or a grass cutting service. So I know there's I've dealt in my 4 years a lot of repeat calls and complaints for property standard issues, and so I'll just leave it at that.
Councillor Foss, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd just like to add that I'm not sure how many people we have doing the property standards work, but in my opinion, I think that there probably could be an increase in staffing there, because I think the complaints that are out there are far greater than the resolves type thing. So maybe included in that report, administration can have a look at to see if there's any way that they can increase staffing, or at least look at increasing the enforcement, I guess, of the property standard issues. I think that's a big issue as well. So,
Councillor Thompson, please.
I want to say thank you to Councillor McGregor for bringing this motion forward. It's better worded than the one I brought forward about a year ago, which basically summed up to fix it. So I would hope to, and that motion never came back, or that report rather. So further to what Councillor Foss was saying, I would hope that when Councillor McGregor's motion comes back, that potentially my motion could be rolled, my report that I'm expecting could be rolled into that one as well.
Okay. Further comments? Then Councillor Fluker, please.
Just very quickly, I concur with what Councillor Foss has said. I think those are the most common phone calls that we get as members of council, Your Worship. I've got about 4 in my ward, and all of them have made it very clear they're certainly not voting for me because the property standards officer has been there, but only once. Matter of fact, one time the property standards officer was threatened, and she said, I will bring a police officer next time, and nothing has happened since. So it is one of those issues that we as council have to deal with. maybe not so much in the Chatham area, but certainly out in our areas, in the Dresdens and the Tilburys and the Wheatleys and the Merlins, and I'm sure it's in the Blenheim and Ridgetown areas also. And Councillor Meyer says there's one or two in Chatham also. Is there just one or two? All right. But I think certainly for the next council, and certainly I agree with Councillor McGregor, that maybe it might take another staff member, but boy, one of the big problems when I talk to the people that are in charge of that department, they have a darn tough time keeping staff wanting to do that job simply because of the people that you are dealing with. You're not dealing with the people that many of us are meeting at the door. You are dealing now with people that are different, and I'll just put it that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments? And seeing none, I would ask council now to consider the notice of motion before you. I'll turn to the clerk.
All votes are in. Motion passes 16-0.
Let's deal with the next item.
Item 17A, road upgrade policy.
Councillor Foss, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to move the recommendations.
Seconder, Councillor Leclerc. Comments? Councillor Fluker.
A very short question to Chris, if he's around. Chris, as you're coming up to the podium, my question to you, and I certainly agree with this, however, would you not think that Chatham-Kent should pay some small portion of this local improvement if we're converting a gravel road to a tar and chip road or to an asphalt? And I was thinking of this when I read the report, say 20%. And the reason I say this is that as we continue gravel roads, they take a lot of maintenance. They take a lot of manpower time. And the type of gravel we're getting now, it's a much harder gravel, and it's really tough to get those potholes out. I'm looking at you, and I'm looking over towards Mr. Kelly also. A tar and chip road, every 3, 4, or 5 years, maybe we have to patch them up. But a gravel road, we constantly have, they have to be scraped at least 2 or 3 times a year. So I guess where I'm going with this, Mr. Mayor, is would there not be merits in a small portion of the municipal taxes going towards the local improvement of a gravel road if all of these citizens signed up and say, yes, we will pay for it? And I'm throwing a figure of 20% of the cost.
Chris?
Thank you, Mayor Hope. So factored into the equation, obviously, we looked into going forward with upgrading a road to surface treatment or to asphalt road. One thing that wasn't really factored into the report was the life cycle going forward for maintaining a asphalt road or a surface treated road. So of course there is a higher dollar value or higher figure that the municipality will be undertaking, will be taking responsibility for following the upgrade for both of those types of roads. And there is quite a cost significance with, even though it does appear there is more work involved with maintaining a gravel road, the cost associated with the asphalt maintenance and the surface treatment maintenance is higher.
I appreciate that, and I'm done, Your Worship. It's just that we do maintain a gravel road a lot more often than we do an asphalt road or tar and chip road. If I'm fortunate in the next budget, I think we spend way too much money on gravel. And I've even had some farmers tell me that. And it should be going towards asphalt, but that's irrelevant to this motion. I guess if it does come to fruition where there is a local improvement road, you might see me, and I hope some other people, that we should, some portion, because I think an asphalt or a tar and chip road is less maintenance than a gravel road, but we won't win that argument. I'm not wasting any more time.
Councillor Foss, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I kind of like the way Councillor Fluker is thinking, and I know that I would make a lot of people happy if we could get that proposal through. But I think we looked at it, and if this was the only request that we were going to get to have upgraded roads, it might fly. But I know that there's other people that are looking for road upgrades as well. So it's not just an isolated situation here. The comment I'd like to make, though, is that I'd like to thank Thomas and his team for the hard work and commitment that they made in putting this report together. And I'd also like to thank the citizens of the Snyline, Island View, and Sayes Line, Sny Road, and Island View Road. We dealt with a couple of people there who were the spearheaders of this original proposal when I brought it to council. The cooperation that we received from them, the input we received from them, the meetings that we've had with the engineering people, Thomas and myself, was nothing but positive. We went through a detailed report with them. They understood the report. We addressed, I think, most of their concerns, and it was a real pleasure working with them. And it sort of tells me that sometimes by getting the people involved and sitting down at the same table with them, discussing their concerns, explaining to them our position, goes a long way in getting a lot of things resolved. And at the end of the day, they might not be totally satisfied with the fact that they're not going to get any additional funding, but when the day was done, that they appreciated our position on that. And I think we accomplished a lot by just visiting with them. So I'd like to thank the citizens as well as Thomas and his team for the cooperation that we received in putting this together. So.
Thank you. Councillor Leclerc.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just have a question. Now that it's a better road, no more potholes, and maybe more traveled. So now that it's more traveled, we're going to have heavier truck traffic, farm traffic, and are the citizens going to be saying, now this is a private road, you shouldn't be on my road. So we're going to have to maybe deal with that. But I guess going forward, more traffic will create maybe a degrade of the road faster. Is the maintenance part on it, I didn't see it in the report, but I guess going forward, the maintenance part, is it by the local citizens or is it now a municipal road? So the municipality takes over, like fixing if it's a tar and chip, etc.
Thank you, Mayor Hope. The following the local improvement process, this will be a municipal road that the municipality will maintain going forward.
Further comments? And seeing none, I would ask council now to consider the recommendation now before you. I'll turn to the clerk.
Councillor Carmen McGregor.
She's conflict of interest.
Thank you. All votes are in. Motion passes 16-0.
Let's deal with the next item.
Item 17B, grass clippings in Chatham-Kent. Notice of motion.
Councillor Carmen McGregor, please. I'll move the motion.
I think at this point, my motion had went through, but this report came back from Tim Dick. This is not my actual motion.
No, but it's attached by law. It's your recommendation, so that's why I'm allowing you.
Yes, I'd be happy to move the recommendation that the municipality, that they amend the municipal littering bylaw, Appendix A, to include the provisions for leaf and yard waste be approved.
It's been moved by Councillor Carmen McGregor, seconded by Councillor Myers. Comments or questions? And seeing none, I would ask you now to consider the recommendation before you. I'll turn to the clerk.
All votes are in. Motion passes 16-0.
Let's deal with the next item.
Item 17C, motion by Councillor Bondi regarding seniors bus pass extension.
Councillor Bondi, please.
Thank you, Mayor Hope. It's changed a little bit, but I'll just read the new version, which you do not have up there. Somebody's got it because it was delivered to me.
We have it. We just need you to present it.
Oh, okay, great. I, Councillor Bondi, move that council consider the extension of the seniors bus pass at the current annual rate of $210 during the 2019 budget deliberations. If approved, all seniors that purchase personal alternative cards during the months of January through March 2019 be credited the full value of those cards off the purchase price of any approved 2019 senior annual pass. Proof of purchase will be required.
It's been moved by Councillor Bondi, seconded by Councillor Solomon. Councillor Bondi.
Sure, thank you. Well, Mayor Hope, I was hoping to just extend the senior bus pass, which is currently in place, which there's a deputation about, but because of some financial implications, it's better off to go to budget because it really is, it's a money thing. I'm happy with the way this is. What I would like to see happen, but of course we'll talk about it at budget really, but just so that, you know, I kind of mention it today, I think there's been a reduction in seniors that are buying the senior bus pass because they have to pay the $210 up front at the beginning of the year. So part of the original motion, which the most important part, was that people would be able to pay for it monthly, which makes sense. That was the whole purpose, was to make it affordable and accessible, where it's not now. And the other thing, there are other vulnerable sectors of the community which I hope to include in the in my request at budget, which won't be a motion, but would be a request during budget. But if this could be passed tonight, it would at least keep the thing alive because it was destined for failure and basically death December 31st. So this would at least keep it alive. So I hope that you'll vote in favor. So does Ruth for her birthday. Thank you, Mayor Hope.
Thank you. Any further comments? And seeing none, I would ask council to consider this notice of motion before you. And I'll turn to the clerk.
All votes are in. Motion passes 17-0.
There's the birthday gift. Closed session reports. Councillor Carmen McGregor, please.
Thank you, and through the mayor, I would move the closed session report of Monday, September 10th. Not present was Councillor Leclerc. Council directed administration on proposed disposition of land by the municipality or local board regarding St. George Street, Shrewsbury, Section 2392C of the Municipal Act. Proposed disposition of land by the municipality or local board regarding 42 Tiffany Street, Ridgetown, Section 2392C of the Municipal Act. Proposed disposition of land by the municipality or local board regarding 430 Colburn Street, Chatham, 2392C of the Municipal Act. Proposed acquisition of land by the municipality or local board with regard to Wallaceburg Southside properties, Section 2392C of the Municipal Act, and litigation or potential litigation and advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose with regard to defamation lawsuits, Section 2392E and F of the Municipal Act. Mayor Hope declared a conflict of interest on this item. Council received information on labor relations or employee negotiations with regard to the labor relations update for Unifor, QP, ONA, and Fire, Sections 2392D of the Municipal Act.
It's been moved by Councillor Carmen McGregor, seconded by Councillor Oche. Any comments or questions from council? And seeing none, I would ask council now to consider the closed session report before you. I will turn to the clerk.
All votes are in. Motion passes 17-0.
Next item on the agenda deals with approval of communicated items. So moved by Councillor Pinsino, seconded by Councillor Fluker. Any items of interest? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed to any? Carried. Next item on the agenda deals with non-agenda business items. Councillor Carmen McGregor.
Yes, I just have a question through you to, I'm guessing through to Thomas or Thomas's department. I was just curious, after being out to the media day out for the IPM, I just had a conversation about transportation and it's amazing network they're setting up there for parking and transportation. But I had asked the question as to the local community bus system, and found out that that bus will not be, or there will not be a bus going out to the IPM, which I thought might be a fair hardship for anybody within Chatham-Kent that does not have access to a vehicle that may want to attend the IPM. So I was just wondering if that could be looked at, a possibility of, and I know it's hard to change the route, but if there's a possibility even of renting a school bus and putting something on from the Chatham depot to get people out to the IPM that don't have access to a vehicle.
Thank you, Mayor Hope. So we have looked at it. and anyone who has access even to an interurban bus can get to Chatham, and then from Chatham we have a bus that goes directly to the old Target parking lot. From there, we have proposed to the IPM team a shuttle bus, and we're waiting for a decision on that. I'm not sure if Kathy has any comments, or Leon or Darren, but so if you can access any bus within Chatham-Kent, we can get you to the Target, and from there, there is a cost that we have provided to the IPM group to run a shuttle bus back and forth from Target to the IPM. So it's all possible. We're just waiting to hear from the IPM group on that.
Thank you very much, because that would be wonderful. There might even be people that have vehicles that would prefer not to get caught up in traffic that might use the service that during that period of time. So thank you for looking into that.
Councillor Clare on this item?
Yeah, and there's another organization that's maybe willing to do this for free. It's so we're working with them. It's never ending. Every day there's another situation, but there will be some kind of transportation for folks without a vehicle. There will be something, and when it's we do get something that's concrete, it will be announced on all the four different social media sites that we all watch, and there'll be something out there. It'll be blasted loud and clear.
Okay. Councillor Foss, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. This Sunday is Terry Fox run throughout Chatham-Kent, so I encourage each and everyone to get out and participate. I'm walking, so if anybody wants to sponsor me, that would be appreciated. Not only that is that the Dresden Group has been #1 fundraiser per capita in Ontario for the 3rd year in a row last year. So I want to congratulate that group for their outstanding work in being and doing a great job in getting pledges and sponsoring Terry Fox that way. I will be recognizing them with certificates on Friday night at the Legion to congratulate them on their accomplishments. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson, please.
Thank you very much. This would be to either Don or Kathy. Back in December of 2017, we brought forward a motion and passed regarding a look at nepotism policies in the municipality. At the time, staff was busy with a number of other issues. I was just curious as to the timeline for returning that to council.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I had the opportunity to speak with Councillor Thompson a couple of months ago as we were going through the thick of a policy review and our plowing match event. So it is on the list as soon as the plowing match event is behind us.
Wonderful. I'm sad I might not ever get to see it, but at the same time, I actually think bringing it back after the election and the new council would be fortuitous timing.
Councillor Herman, please.
Thank you, Mayor Hope and Council. I just want you all to know that Mayor Hope and I, as well as Councillor Thompson, were pleased to be able to attend an event on Saturday at Erie O, and very pleased in the fundraising initiative that took place, and the first of its kind accessible playground was the ribbon cutting on Saturday. I cannot tell you enough how much of all of us around here talk about our volunteers in our community. 4 ladies together, they were a team, and with the initiative of the group and the community and that supported them with funds, more than $70,000 was raised by this committee to put this in place. So this is about accessibility and inclusivity, and we know what that's all about. And I cannot tell you enough about how heartwarming it was to see the children playing that day that were a part of something that I think it's just only the beginning of Chatham-Kent, what we can do with our infrastructure and our parks and improving our parks to make certain all children of all abilities are able to enjoy everything about Chatham-Kent. So it was a good thing, good news story.
Thank you. Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just had a question through Your Worship to Mr. Kelly. I have received several calls with respect to the fiber optic cable that's going in all across, particularly Chatham at this point in time. And I want to first thank you for assisting, your department for assisting me in solving some of the problems that I reported. Now, what I'd like to know is, there are 2 contractors doing this work. Are they both now actually hanging information on the doors of the houses so that the public has an advance warning of what's going to occur and a number to call in the event that they have a problem? I know the ACON group is doing that. Is the other group doing it now?
Thank you, Mayor Hope. And that's exactly our process. The process is with 48 hours prior to doing any work, that every resident receive a notification. So that is the process. I think we've had a situation where sometimes it's not followed, and that's where we run into problems. So we're staying on top of it and doing our due diligence there.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because people in this community take great pride in their landscaping and their lawns, and all of a sudden there's a big hole there with an orange fence, and some of them didn't get advance warning, and I'm glad it's been corrected. Thank you.
Further, Councillor Oche.
Thank you, Your Worship. As co-chair of the Tilbury Terry Fox Run, we'd like to invite everyone out to Tilbury. Obviously, we're having the run as well as many other events that day. It is at the Tilbury Memorial Arena, so if you can make it out, please come. Things are starting off with the music at 11, and we'll have the Davidson Band an hour after that as well for more music. So if you can make it out, please do. Thank you.
Any other non-agenda business items? Councillor Leclerc.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a quick update on the IPM. On Tuesday's opening ceremonies, and Queen's Park is going to be closed for that day. So Mr. Ford's going to be there, Ernie Hardeman, Monty McNaughton, Sylvia Jones, Minister of Tourism, Andrew Horvath, and John Fraser. Just so honored as and I won't speak on Darren's behalf, but I'm so honored as the volunteerism we've had here. Some people, with the whole group, we're going to be well into the tens of thousands of hours of volunteers, some over 4 years getting this ready. Honored also because of the rural-urban thing. The urban people being involved that are on our executive that are getting involved. I've said it the last 4 functions, and I'll say it again because I have this audience here. The rural-urban split is crap. We understand how each other is important, and there's a perfect example of this. We need each other, and I think as politicians, and I'm a politician as of now, I think we create it sometimes for our own personal gain or for whatever reason, but I believe as a community, we stay united, this community can only grow, and we're seeing it tonight with the Pinties, everything else that happens here. We're a piece of a puzzle, and the only thing it can happen if we stay unified and work together. We will only grow as a community in the next council. I think they will do that also. And then Tuesday again, it starts at noon. So the opening ceremony is at noon on Tuesday. Weather will be 74 and sunny, so we're good to go. We'll have our different colored tractors there for different Parliament members. But again, so honored. And Darren said it the other night at one of our meetings. I think as chairs, we had the easiest job. For example, the other night, every Tuesday we have an executive meeting, and we give a summary. And somebody will say, "Well, I'm up to here, and I'm not going to bore you with everything. I'm just going to get it done." So that's been the can-do attitude, Mayor Hope and Council, with this committee. We will have some issues. Something will happen during the week of, but with 100,000+ visitors. There will be some issues, but how we deal with these issues will show how we are as a committee and as a community. And I think Chatham-Kent, it'll be a bunch of feathers in our cap. And again, I just want to say thank you, Council, for supporting all along. And I'm starting to ramble, so thank you, everybody.
Councillor Verkutteren, please.
Just a quick question for Mr. Kelly regarding the road down at New Scotland. I guess I'm getting a lot of questions on it, and it's been a while. When do you think that bridge is going to be completed? this is harvest time and they're on my back about it.
Thank you, Mayor Hope. I sent a quick note around to council today. The CAO has approved the purchase or the quotation, so we can now move forward with detailed discussions on that timeline. It's our intention to meet with the contractor, gain a commitment from him, and then we'll come back to council and let you know. We're certainly hopeful that it'll be done this year. Thank you.
So you're looking at a time. Can you tell me roughly what time it would be?
No, I'm sorry I can't do that, Mayor Hope, because of the fact I do not have their commitment yet. We have not met with them. We just received approval today to move forward. So as soon as I have that meeting and their commitment, we will come back to council and provide that update.
Give me a call then, and then I can clear that up.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further comments? Non-agenda business items? Councillor Caniff, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just want to invite everybody out this Thursday. We're having closing ceremonies at the Capitol here for the 12 Days of Positivity. We'll be showcasing a bunch of local entertainers, and we'll be giving one of the lucky qualifiers $10,000 travel plans. Thank you.
Yeah, further? Councillor Van Dam, please.
Thank you, Mayor Hope. I just want to go back to New Scotland Line, Mr. Kelly. You've been excellent to work with since we've heard of the collapse. But the one part I'm deeply concerned about is it collapsed. So why wouldn't it fall under emergency repair back in April and we could just get it done? That's the part I'm a little fuzzy on, because we looked at a number of bylaws tonight where we gave emergency jurisdiction to fix certain issues. And when I look at this, you know, there's a business at the end of the road, there's multi-million-dollar farm operations, and it just seems like such a simple fix. And you and your team have walked me through the process, but now, you know, it's getting on 6 months later. As Councillor Vakudaran said, we're going to be in harvest time with still no definite guarantees of when the repair is going to take place. And soybeans come off in October. I don't know if you know that, but soybeans definitely come off in October, followed by corn. And there is multiple farm traffic that needs to come down that road. And I know you've mentioned that there's a 10-kilometer diversion, but when you do that with farm implements, it seems like it's much more than 10 kilometers. It takes twice as long as it would for a pickup truck. So we need to start getting better at emergency repairs, and we need to put a definite timeline on this repair. We cannot have it go into 2019. We can't have it go into Christmas. We need it to be done for harvest time.
Thank you. Further comments on non-agenda business? Seeing none. Next item on the agenda deals with the reading of the bylaws. First and second reading, so moved by Councillor Vakudaran, seconded by Councillor Herman. Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Opposed, standing is carried. Shall council go into committee? Third and final reading. So moved by Councillor Oche, seconded by Councillor Brock McGregor. Any comments or questions? And seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed and carried. Before I move to the resolution of council, a reminder that the meeting of scheduled that is for September 24th has been now canceled. There is no council meeting on the 24th. That being said, we'll now move to the resolution of council for closed session and adjournment. Councillor Carmen McGregor, please.
Thank you, and I move through the mayor that Chatham-Kent Council adjourn to its next meeting to be held on Monday, October 1st, 2018, and that Chatham-Kent Council authorize itself to meet in closed session on that day to discuss any matters permitted by the Municipal Act.
It's been moved by Councillor Carmen McGregor and it's seconded by Councillor Pincinel. Any comments or questions? Then all those in favor? All those opposed? And good night.